Hi, everyone. Welcome to Source Snack Break. I'm Ren with Source. Today is Wednesday, August 26th. We are on our last day of featuring manufacturers who donated materials to our amazing new flagship library here in Portland. Before we get started, I'll explain a couple things about the webinar tool. You're all muted automatically, but as you see, you have access to that live chat there on the right. So you can pop in an emoji to say hi, and you can also use it to ask questions or comment, and we'll be sure to answer any questions you have, so bring it on. I am so excited to have our guest today. This is Makenzie with Valhalla Products, and she is going to talk about Rockfon, which is a sealing product. Before we get started, I'll let you know, designers, we're having a technical issue where our sound is a little bit delayed. So we are working on it. Stay patient with us, but we're going to learn about Rockfon. Hi, Makenzie.
Hi, everyone. It's so great to be here. Thank you for coming. So a little bit about me. I've been in the industry for about 5 years, and I primarily work with designers and architects in interior finishes. So with Valhalla Construction Products, we do a lot of different things, and one of our biggest manufacturers is Rockfon. Can I tab over, or do you tab over? And I forgot to ask.
Awesome. I'll do. Oh, now we're both doing it. There we go. Okay, go for it. Can you tell us a little bit about Rockfon, like about the company itself, and then what makes it different from its other sealing products?
Definitely. So Rockfon is a European company. They've been over there for 60, 70 years, for quite a while, and they're the market share leader over there. They recently came to the United States in about 2015, and they acquired Chicago Metallic, who mostly does a grid system and metal ceilings. Usually, back in the day, Chicago Metallic was paired with Certainteed ceilings. But when Certainteed acquired a new business and they got their own grid system, Rockfon and Chicago Metallic paired up. So the team that consists of Chicago Metallic is still a part of the company, and they run the United States-based office out of Chicago, Illinois. It's still the original team in the original building that Chicago Metallic has always been in. Rockfon recently opened a new plant in Mississippi, and they recently broke ground on a new plant in North Dakota. So Rockfon is a little bit newer to the United States, about 5 years now, but they are here to stay, and they have a lot to offer for any kind of project, anywhere from schools, hospitals, multifamily. There's a lot of different things in there. So Rockfon is different than every other acoustical ceiling manufacturer because of the type of core that they use. Most ceiling tiles are made out of mineral fiber or fiberglass. So mineral fiber is essentially recycled paper, all crunched up, and they bake it in the oven to give it its rigidity. Whereas a fiberglass is spun, so they heat the sand and the glass into like a batt insulation, and they put a coat of paint over the top of it. Rockfon only has one type of core for their ceiling tile, and that's the stone wool. And the stone wool is made of basalt rock and slag, which is a recycled byproduct of the steel industry. They condense it down a lot like an insulation, like the fiberglass, and spin it. So instead of it being sand and glass, it's made out of lava rock or basalt rock. I do have a sample here.
Okay, so
that shows a little bit of the differences.
So let's get this. I love it. So let's get this. I want to just be super clear. The core of this product is made from spun rock, lava rock.
Yes. It's probably the coolest
thing.
There's a video on YouTube that I really, really like that shows how they take the rock and it goes through the conveyor belt. They heat it up so it becomes lava again, and they put it in this big spinning machine, and they put a bunch of air in it to cool the lava down, and that's what turns it into a really fluffy insulation type product. So it's way more durable. It's hydrophobic. It's not going to mold because there's nothing in there to mold. It's all rock.
So really is it kind of like, is it like a rock cotton candy, essentially?
Exactly.
Okay.
It's the cool
I love it.
Here's a sample of it.
Awesome.
So it looks just like an insulation. It's all fuzzy and
great.
And that's the fiberglass. Yeah. So very similar in look, but you get completely different.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
So why, when a designer is choosing a ceiling grid, and they're considering going with fiberglass or mineral wool versus rock wool, what are the differences, and why would a designer choose rock wool? What do they need to think about in terms of specifying or acoustics, or just if they're not familiar with this product, how do they talk to their client about it? Like how do you talk about it to designers so that they can talk about it?
The biggest thing, the biggest draw to stone wool, in my opinion, is durability. This product is way more durable than a fiberglass. Fiberglass, you cut it and it limps out of the system. So there's a lot of projects like in a school setting where they have to remove the ceiling tile to get into the electrical or the plumbing up in the plenum. And the fiberglass over time will limp out of the grid. And the mineral fiber is really, really brittle and it'll break. So you have to be really careful when handling it, as opposed to the stone wool, which has way more durability in both aspects. It's not so flimsy that it's going to limp, but it's not so hard that it's going to break off and not be usable. The other biggest thing is its water repellency. So stone wool is made out of stone. It's not going to mold. So I think of schools always. You walk in and they have those big water spots, brown and nasty. Stone wool won't get those. You might get a little bit of dirty water, you might get a little bit of dust, but you'll never have those big moldy circles like you will in a mineral fiber or a fiberglass tile. Way more durable.
So your ceiling tile. Yeah. So it'll stay nice and white for much longer.
Yes. We have a friend out in Hawaii that also distributes Rockfon, and they had a huge storm that came through. And it was devastating. They had to replace so much of their stuff. They used it as an opportunity to test their Rockfon ceilings. They took them all out. They brushed them off. They were a lot of dirty water, cleaned them up, repainted them with an acoustically transparent paint, and reinstalled them. Didn't have any issues. They still performed really well, and they looked fantastic. It's a super durable product.
Awesome. And so one of the things a lot of our designers are asking about is material transparency and sort of the recyclability of a product. Is rock wool sort of inherently recyclable at the end of its life?
Exactly. So the recycling is a huge thing in Europe, and Rockfon hasn't been in the United States long enough to have a building that needs to recycle their product. However, they're bringing their recycling program from Europe over. And essentially, they can take all of it back. They can rip off the paint on the top, throw it back into the furnace, and come out with new product. It's as easy as that.
You just make brand new cotton candy.
Exactly.
I love it. So can you talk a little bit about, when it comes to specifying acoustic ceilings, what do designers ask you most about? Apart from what is rock wool, like what is stone wool, what do they need to know about effectively creating an acoustic solution in a space?
So there's two things that are my biggest questions. So the first one is, how can you write a specification for this product if there's nothing else like it? Whereas there's nothing else like stone wool. There's nothing as durable. There's nothing as sound absorbing as stone wool, but it is an insulation-based tile. It is the same as a fiberglass. So Rockfon is a subsidiary of Rock Wool International, which does bat insulation. Bat insulation is the same as any other Johns Manville, Certainty. They're all the same. It goes the same for the ceiling tile. It's just insulation with a coat of paint over the top. So that's the easiest way I have found to use it in a specification. It's an insulation-based tile. The second one is the CAC rating. So we talk about acoustical ceilings. There's a couple of terms that are really important: your NRC rating and your CAC rating. Your NRC rating is how the surface absorbs sound, so you don't get the echoing in your rooms, whereas the CAC is transmission room to room with sound. So CAC is not necessary when the walls go to the deck. So a lot of times there's some manufacturers out there that are talking about total acoustics where you have to have both to have a good ceiling. That's not true. You do not always have to have a CAC, and a CAC is a measure of speech privacy room to room, and ceilings just don't do a good job at blocking sound. They're really good at absorbing sound, but they're never going to block 100% of the noise going over. So we always suggest using a plenum barrier. And Rockfon has a great option, so you don't have to drywall from the top of your wall all the way to the ceiling. There's lots of different options out there, but CAC is rarely necessary.
That's interesting. So when a designer is specifying Rockfon, what are the different types of looks that it comes in? I know it comes in this sort of traditional grid, but what are some of the cool things they can do with it?
So the biggest difference between Rockfon and every other manufacturer is that Rockfon does not do a fissure. So they don't do the holes in the tile. It's always a flat white, always. The holes are used to absorb sound. With the Rockfon, you don't need it. So this tile costs the same as this tile, but this tile has a higher end look. So Rockfon can do any edge that any other manufacturer can do, a fully concealed, a semi-concealed. They can do 4x4s. I think there's some 2x6s, and they also have a full color line. So they have all of the customizable options and sizing and edge types as everybody else.
Got it. And what about painting it a different color or using clouds?
So I love clouds. Those are probably one of my most favorite things. They are so cool. In this picture in the top right-hand corner, those are our islands, and they can be directly installed to the ceiling. They can be suspended a little bit. They're great for retrofits just in case, or specifically designing for them. They look fantastic. You had another question, and I totally just blanked.
Oh, color. With the color line, what can they choose a standard color, or can they match a color? Can they paint it? What can they do?
So Rockfon is paintable. The key is to get an acoustically transparent paint, and really that goes for any ceiling tile. You want acoustically transparent. I know Sherwin-Williams, we've done it before, they offer an acoustically transparent paint. So it is doable, and it sprays on really nicely. But they also do have their own color line, and it's like 72 different colors. Some of them are more available than others, but they have a full line. They have like the bright blue, like in this picture in the left-hand corner, or the black is pretty popular. We stock some of that on hand. A full line for that.
Awesome. What sort of trends are you seeing with designers? I know this is a European product, and usually the trends that are happening in Europe start happening here as well, like a couple years later. What is like the cool new thing in ceilings, or how are designers using ceilings in innovative ways, especially with acoustics? Like, what are you seeing on your end in terms of the cool new thing that you can do with Rockfon?
So they do a lot of linear lights now. So instead of having pot lights or big 2x4 trough lights, they're doing a lot of linear lights. So sometimes that can come along with a lot of field cutting, which is super easy to do with Rockfon, or they do offer a specific size that fits in with the standard linear light system. So it makes it super easy for the installer to just pop the tiles in and they just keep going. I've also seen a new thing that Rockfon's had for several years, and Armstrong just came out with it in the United States this year. It's called AcoustiBuilt, and essentially it's an acoustical ceiling that looks like drywall. It's completely seamless. They put a skim of essentially plaster, but it's an acoustical plaster over the top, so it looks like a hard lid ceiling, but there's actually acoustical board behind it, which I think is the coolest product ever. Rockfon is coming out with it in the next, I'm hoping this next year, there's going to be here, but that's the coolest thing I've seen in ceilings this year.
That's super cool, because then you get that really seamless look that designers really love. But I do appreciate that Rockfon really, at least the install we have in our office, it is a very flat visual look. And a lot of designers are looking for that. So when it comes to as you mentioned, like some competing products have the like fissures in them. How do they compare? How does Rockfon basically compare in price to other products of a similar look and feel? How can a designer talk to their client about budget?
So Rockfon has an option for every price point that any other manufacturer does. There is an option. And the great thing about it, in my opinion, is that they look the same. It's all a matte white kind of finish, but between price points. So in schools, a lot of the time we use a higher end tile with a higher noise absorption in the classrooms. But in hallways where it's not necessary, we use a lower end price point tile for the hallways. That way you get the same look throughout the entire school, but you're able to bolster the more important areas and save a little bit money in the back end stuff that doesn't need that higher end product. So you're not getting two different looks in two different spaces. Rockfon has a much smaller catalog than like an Armstrong or a Certainty. Armstrong and Certainty are very good at rebranding. They'll use the same tile and they'll rebrand it for schools, or sometimes it'll be for a hospital. Rockfon hasn't done that. They've kept really simple catalog. They have about 15 different tiles, but price point wise, they're where they need to be to move the product.
Got it. When it comes to designing for sort of specialty areas, maybe hospitals or areas with high moisture, I'm thinking kitchens or, I don't know, bathrooms, maybe like commercial bathrooms. Are there places where this product does especially well, or are there certain places where you should not use this product?
So this product is unique in that it can be used anywhere. You can get a tile that's specifically meant for like a sauna room or a locker room, a lot of moisture, a lot of traffic, and the paint finish is what does it. It doesn't come off. But the core itself on all of their products don't mold, they don't rot. So there is a product I really like. It's the Rockfon Coral, and that's my favorite for kitchens. It's wipeable, so you can still clean it down, but it also has some noise absorption. Most tile that goes into a commercial kitchen is a gypsum base, just like a wall is. So it doesn't absorb any of the sound, so you get a really loud kitchen, all the banging and echoing. With the Rockfon Coral, you don't get that. So you still get the cleanability of the gypsum, but you get a lot more sound performance out of that tile. So in areas where you need a lot of sound absorption, Rockfon's perfect.
That's awesome. Designers, I can't think of any more questions for Makenzie, but as you can see, she's an amazing resource. So feel free to chat in some questions if you've got them. In the meantime, you can reach out to her immediately to get samples or ask about a project that you've got going on. Makenzie, anything to let designers know? Is there anything that we should finish out with that I forgot to ask?
I think you really hit all of the important parts. If there's anything I can do to help, any suggestions, like I said, Rockfon's got a pretty small catalog. So if you need help finding out which tile is the right for that project, or you're going against a certain spec and you want to get the right tile in, I'm always available to help with that stuff.
Great. And designers, if you want to register for another snack break, you can smash that register now button. I will say that tomorrow is a very special snack break. We're talking to our product experts who are in the library, Andrew and Brittany. So be sure to tune into that and chat all your questions you have for them. And then next week, we're starting a whole new series of snack breaks, including Transparency Tuesday, Bespoke Makers. So definitely keep your eyes peeled for that. We're super excited to have you all. In the meantime, Makenzie, it was great talking Rockfon. I'm so interested in this product and this candy, the cotton candy wool. That's amazing. And hopefully we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, everyone. We'll see you later. Bye.